Aloha kako and welcome to my home studio. My name is Bonnie Soul. I'm an artist and an art instructor. Today I want to draw with you expressive eyes. We'll be using a step-by-step technique to guide us to draw more expressive eyes. You'll need paper, a pencil, and an eraser. If you have drawing pencils, start with something a little bit lighter. In these pandemic times, it has been very challenging. We've had to adjust and learn how to do things differently. One of the challenges has been with wearing a mask and being able to understand each other properly. A lot of times without the mouth, we sometimes can misinterpret one another because this area of the face might not be expressing something that we understand. So one way to help us maybe understand eyes a little bit better is to learn how to draw them. And remembering that observation is key. So maybe you have a mirror, or maybe there's somebody in front of you that you can look at. In any case, we're going to start by examining our eye. So close your eyes, or at least kind of close your eyes. I'm going to use our finger, and I want you to feel around the top of your eyelid and the bottom. You feel that bone structure? That is your eye socket, right? And within that eye socket is your eyeball. So go ahead and grab your pencil. We're going to begin. Now I'm going to be drawing a little bit dark. That's so that you can see what I'm doing. But I want you to remember that you need to draw lightly. Remember, you don't want to indent the paper. You don't want to make too hard of a line. You never know what you might be erasing or changing later on. So let's start with a simple circle. My circle's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. That is your eyeball. Now, we're just going to draw a standard eye, looking straight ahead. So what's in the center of your eyeball? Your iris. And what's in the center of your iris? Your pupil. So, we have 3 circles. Where do we go from there? About halfway is your lid line. So about halfway, we'll call this the internal part of the eye, closest to the nose. And if you notice, the top lid sort of creates a semicircle, sort of an almond shape above the eye. Now, different emotions and just different eyes will be different, so make note. I will go and I will travel over to about the center part on the opposite side. Now on the internal part on the bottom, there's a little bump. That's your tear duct. Thank you. And it's not so much of a half round. It's a little bit less. It still is, it's a little bit less. That's our basic shape of our eye. Now, once again, let's explore. If I haven't, don't poke your eye out. And I travel up, my eyebrow sits on top of my eye socket. And remember, we don't get to feel the entire eyeball. So somewhere right around here, we'll put the shape of an eyebrow. Just like that. And there'll be a lid line that you'll see. It's different for everyone. It depends on how your eyes are. Let's go ahead and put that lid line in. And some people have a sort of a bottom indicator too. Okay. Your eyeball is a circle, right? So it's going to come out and create this, right? If you look at profile. So. Now let's start getting a little bit more detail. Let's start with the pupil, fill that in. Now a lot of people's eyes have sort of radiating lines from the pupil out. Some people don't. If you have a really dark colored eye, you might not be able to notice that, but a lot of people do. So I usually just treat it with sort of a zigzag around. Notice that the exterior of the iris, the actual surface, irregardless of what color your eyes are, that's a little bit darker. It's sort of like the ring around your eye. So we want to give that a little oomph. I'm going to take your pencil. We're just going to go around it a little bit, a few times. Whoops. It's okay if you get a little bit thicker. Just kind of make it up. Just like that. Whoops. And go ahead and I'm actually going to give this a light coloring in. So a pencil can create all different types of marks and range of darkness. We can go from soft to dark by a lot of times being really heavy with our strip. So for now, that's what I've got going on with my pupil and my eyes. Anytime you have something lapping something else, you create a shadow line. See that? You create a line in which darkness appears. You have two things butting up against each other, they create darkness. So this upper lid sitting on top of your eyeball should get a little bit of oomph. It's not mascara, it's just a little bit of that sort of shadow. Right beneath that, you're going to go lighter and you're going to create a little drop shadow. Very sort of light. So you're not touching the pencil to the paper very hard. Yeah, use your finger. See that? That creates a little bit of depth. Let's not forget that there's a little bit of pinkness in here, right? This is pink, this isn't eyeball. Now we also want to give a little bit of darkness and oomph to the bottom lid. It gets a little bit because it's sort of doing the same thing. We want to give it a little bit of that same, little bit of a drop shadow, just a little bit though. Okay. Let's go ahead and put some eyelashes. So there's all types of eyelashes. There's big eyelashes, there's short little ones. Let's go ahead and do some fairly decent sized lashes. Now when they come off that lid, if you have someone in front of you or you can look in a mirror right now, take a look at how they go. They swoop down and up. So I usually start on the exterior part of the eye and work my way in. Right? And I really just go for it. I kind of just do these eyes. And remember, when it starts to come up in front, they're coming up and out at you. So you're basically just going up and down. They get smaller as they go toward the interior part of your eye. Right? Let's not forget the bottom. The bottom also has lashes. They sort of come down and they do a little tiny thing too. So remember, it's up to you how big and how long and how many you put in, but everybody has them. You just might not notice them so much on some people. Okay, so we've got our lashes, our iris, our pupil. What are we missing? Let's go ahead and put some hair on our eyebrow. So, eyebrow hairs, they're just short, heavy hairs. So we're going to do short, heavy strokes, as if we are drawing the individual hairs. But we're just filling in that shape that we already gave ourselves earlier on. Just like that. Now's a good time to erase any of the marks that you no longer need. So that initial circle, that initial eyeball, so to speak, you can sort of get rid of that. Of course, mine's quite dark because I wanted you to see it, so it's going to be a little bit more for me to get rid of. But not a big deal. Here. And the more that you do this, the more eyeballs you draw, the less you'll need these preliminary lines. Not that I still don't usually draw out a full semicircle at the beginning, but I might do it even lighter, right? We just want to give ourselves a little bit of a mold to fill. Sometimes we got to go a little bit backwards to get a little bit forward. So here we go. Okay. So here's our eyebrow. And maybe I'll give myself a little bit of that. And remember, maybe it comes out a little bit. Maybe a little eyebrow that comes out. And a lot of times, remember, light and finger helps a lot. All right, there's our first straight ahead eye. Normal. Not really expressing much emotion, just looking. Now let's go ahead and do another one. And this time, let's give it, whoops. Let's give it a little bit of emotion. Or, yeah, let's give it something. So let's do surprise. Ooh. Oh, look how surprised. Eyebrows go up, eyes get wide. And on top of that, let's make up and away. Looking up and away. So with surprise, what does that? Eyes are big. I see a lot of the white. I see my eyebrows go way up. So maybe instead of starting with the iris and the pupil this time, maybe I go ahead and I put in my lid lines. So halfway, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to exaggerate that opening on the top. And on the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and make that even bigger than I normally would. So it's wider. I could even make it wider than that, but that's what I got. And then maybe wide and up and away, up and away. So maybe I only see part of my iris. I'm surprised, I'm looking up and away, but for whatever reason, I'm not turning my head. Okay, this is the beginnings. So, eyebrow, right? So we said, ooh, everything goes up. No. Let's go ahead and give us the shape of our eyebrow. Now let's go through the same process that we did with the top one. Starting at the pupil, I can color that in. I'm going to give myself some of these rays. I'm going to go ahead and fill that in a little bit, lightly, not too much. And I want to focus on the edge, remember? Focusing on the edge of my iris. It's a little bit darker than the rest. Use my finger. Now we're going to do that top lid. Remember, we want to give a little bit of darkness to that top lid. A little bit of something, something. Alright. Ooh. Let's not forget, especially when it's open that wide, this is pink in here. Let's go ahead and give that bottom lid a little bit of oomph too. Okay. We've got our space in there. Let's do our drop shadow. So maybe it's a little bit more because more of the eye is shown. So, remember, lightly, lightly. And if you have drawing pencils, you're going to want to use a lighter drawing pencil at this point, right? You should be going in between dark and light pencils, maybe a 3 or 4B and a 2B or an HB. Okay, so there's my little drop shadow in here, on the top. Maybe I want to do the same thing on the bottom a little bit, right? So I'm gonna, and it's gonna be more than it was last time. There's more exposure of my eyeball. Remember, we're not making lines per se. We're just making an area of color difference. And sometimes, you know, you can't help it. It's going to do what it wants to do. Okay. Let's take my eraser. Make sure it's really white in the center. The rest of this, I'm going to give a little finger. Okay, when I'm up and surprised, you barely see any of the lid. This is a good opportunity right now to eradicate those initial lines that you no longer need so that they don't interfere with what you're doing. And remember, mine are dark just so that you can see them, otherwise they'd be very light. So right now you should be erasing very light lines that hardly can be seen. Okay, so once again, if I'm very surprised, there's just a tiny little bit of lid that it's showing. Wow. Let's go ahead and put the hair in your eyebrow. Short little lines. Not to say that some eyebrows don't go all over the place. I had an uncle whose eyebrows went like this. But we're not drawing those. Okay, so what are we missing? Eyelashes. So maybe I don't make as big a ones this time, and maybe I just kind of, this person wishes they had big curly lashes. Just, put them there. They kind of go in a certain way, but at the same time, they kind of have minds of their own. So observation, as always, is key. Anytime you come up against some difficulty, go look at the real thing. Get this a little bit of darkening behind here. Okay. Bear is looking up and away and maybe a little bit surprised. I'm going to spend a little bit more time, but that's pretty good. So, why don't we draw a pair of eyes next? Let's try our hand at drawing both eyes now. And let's try to draw an emotion. Let's try sadness. Let's try and figure out how we can relay sadness with just eyes and eyebrows. So, first of all, observation is key. Make note that the space between the two eyes is about an eye's distance. Now, everyone is different. That's fine. Adjust accordingly. But let's take that into account. So if I do, then I'm going to start my drawing with 3 circles, right? Roughly the same size. See how I'm not sweating whether I'm perfectly circular? Okay, so that means the 2 exterior circles will be the 2 eyes, and this is the space between. So we're going to start very much as we did the other drawings. And even though these are sad eyes, we're going to put them in sort of just a straight looking forward. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my next circles, which are my iris, and my pupil. And we're going to think about sad eyes for a second. In your mind's eye, if you can see somebody sad, or if you have a mirror and you can make a sad face, or someone in front of you can show you sadness, take a good look at them. Now, if I were to look at myself and I was evoking sadness, I feel it. I feel it in my face. I feel it in my eyes. I feel my eyes get smaller, and I feel them take on a different shape. And I feel my eyebrows move. I feel that. It feels as if they come down at an angle. So of course, we still know that our lid lines basically middle. So here's my middle, And if I know that my eyes get smaller and they sort of get this shape to them, it sort of comes up at an angle on both sides. Comes up at an angle, as if you were going to draw a semi-round. And they swoop down. It's as if our eyes get smaller. They're unhappy. They swoop down. Right? Can you feel that? Can you see that? You see how the eyebrows go up and then down again too? Okay, let's do the bottom lid. So of course, let's not forget our tear duct. They might be getting used quite heavily if you're actually having a sad moment. And if I notice when I look at myself with sad eyes, I don't actually see a lot of the white of my eyeball. So we want to make sure that we keep that kind of small feel. So maybe I make my iris a little bit more pronounced. I'm going to go ahead and outline my iris. Darkening my pupils. Go ahead, darken that exterior line up and my pupil. Okay, let's just start there. I feel that. Let's do the eyebrows. So once again, always remember, straight up from here. It's basically the start of your eyebrow. Some people have eyebrow here, but you know, whatever works. So if I come up, I know that we've decided that sort of comes up and comes down. Okay, my eyebrows. Kind of up and then down. So we'll make adjustments to this in a second. Get to see that? Okay. What else? Right? This is about the details. So let's start again at our pupil, and let's go ahead and do the iris. Now for this time, I'm just going to fill her in as if these are dark brown eyes, maybe. Just going to give it a coat like that, both of them. Give them a little finger there. And even within that, maybe I put some of these radiating lines that most of us have. And I'm going to re-hit the pupil. And I am also going to darken that upper lid. And I'm going to hit the bottom lid again too. I'm going to notice that the upper lid becomes kind of narrower, smaller. So I'm just going to do a little indicator line on that side. And I notice that the line here also kind of becomes a little tighter. So it's like reading here. Right? Now let's pay attention to this space in here, right? It's the beginnings of your nose. Follow the eyebrows. Oop, come right around. It's almost like another circle. So, right in here, we can start to put these lines. And when I say line, I want you to treat this relatively softly, right? We're going back and forth. We're creating an area because it's not actually a line, right? It's a different plane that creates a shadow. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to give it a little bit. This almost goes up to my eyebrow. Put my finger in there. Now's a good time to take your eraser and let's erase any of those lines that we don't need anymore. Namely our third eye. Third eye, bye-bye. And any other line that you might not think is necessary right now. Remember, we put these lines in initially to give ourselves a little bit of an outline of where we're going. Once we know where we're going, and we've got everything down, we don't necessarily need all of those anymore. Okay. And we can always erase more later. Another telltale sign of sadness is usually a heaviness around the eyes as well. Sometimes you'll have a little bit more baggage underneath than you might normally. Some of us just have that anyway. Let's go ahead and put the hairs in the eyebrows. So remember, short strokes going in the direction that they grow. I'm going to cross over a bunch. Basically filling in the shape that you've already put, but it's not making a solid space, right? We're seeing these lines. Something like that, right? Let's go ahead. So these are somewhat sad eyes. We could maybe make them sadder. Maybe we don't want to. Remember, your finger is your friend when it comes to shading. Here we have a pair of eyes, a pair of sad eyes. There's lots of other eyes and lots of other emotions to explore. Have fun with it. Try your hand at different ones. Remember, with practice, we become better. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, ahui ho.